Government has reiterated its stance against the export of mineral ores, saying the ban is meant to prevent the plunder of the country's natural resources. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs says it is prioritizing the safety and welfare of Zimbabwean citizens in the troubled Middle East region and has advised those seeking assistance to contact the ministry or their nearest diplomatic mission. Doomsday for unregistered operators as Zimbabwe Tourism Authority launches nationwide blitz to shut down non-compliant establishments, including Airbnbs, lodges and hotels. Exciting times for football lovers as the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League kicks off this Friday with the champions Scotland versus New Boys Hard Rock encounter in Kwekwe. Stay tuned for that story and more in our sports segment. Now for the news in greater detail. Government says the ban on the export of mineral ores is meant to prevent the plunder of the country's natural resources following unprecedented and unacceptable extraction of raw lithium, as well as massive exports and stockpiling ahead of the 2027 deadline. Responding to a question at a post-cabinet media briefing in Harare today, Mines and Mining Development Minister Dr. Polite Kambamura said President Mnangagwa took the decisive stance to stop the natural resources hemorrhage. Now Zimbabwe is poised to capitalize on its rich mineral resources, with Minister Kambamura highlighting the country's unique position in the global mining landscape after a surge in global lithium prices following a halt of exports.
As a country, considering our poor position and also that we are the largest lithium producer in Africa, we need to benefit considerably from our mineral resource, and we need also to have a voice that can be heard, especially in the energy transition initiative. So Zimbabwe needs also to go green. How do we go green? By further beneficiating our minerals and also benefiting from finished products from lithium resources.
Government, through the Interministerial Committee on the Ban of Alluvial Mining and Rehabilitation of Degraded River Ecosystems, is implementing a whole-of-government compliance, monitoring and evaluation system to ensure sustained enforcement of Statutory Instrument 188 of 2024 on the nation-wide ban on alluvial mining. Minister Jemu said sustained efforts are currently underway to eliminate the lingering threat of local illegal miners who continue to invade previously mined areas. The deployment of crack teams to combat the destruction of riverine ecosystems is currently ongoing. As such, Cabinet approved that a legislative framework to accelerate the river rehabilitation process be provided.
The strategic intervention has resulted in significant compliance with the government directives. Reports indicate that in all the alluvial mining-prone provinces, active mechanized alluvial mining has largely been halted.
Still with Cabinet, Government has approved the Zimbabwe Public-Private Partnership Guidelines aimed at leveraging capital and expertise of all infrastructure projects across the country. The new guidelines will be followed by the government and the private sector during the entire PPP life cycle, encompassing project identification, approval, development, appraisal, implementation, monitoring and evaluation, and termination of PPPs.
The guidelines will complement the ZIDA Act in the enforcement of policy compliance, ultimately ensuring that government realizes value for money through the inclusion of revenue sharing arrangements in joint ventures. The guidelines outline financial, technical, and operational risks to be shared between the government and private partners, ensuring that risks are borne by the party best able to manage them.
Government says it is prioritizing the safety and welfare of Zimbabwean citizens in the affected Middle East region following disruptions caused by the US, Israel and Iran conflict. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is urging those living in or traveling through impacted countries to register with the nearest Zimbabwean embassy or consulate and to limit movements in line with host country regulations. Citizens requiring urgent assistance are advised to immediately contact the ministry or their nearest diplomatic mission. Government says it will continue to monitor developments and issue updates where necessary. President Mnangagwa has conferred a national hero status on retired Brigadier General Jonathan Hungwe, who passed away on Friday at his farm in Mwenezi at the age of 68. The Minister of State for Masvingo Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Ezra Chadzamira, delivered the news to the Hungwe family and other mourners, including the Zimbabwe National Army Commander, Lieutenant General Walter Tapfumane, during a military funeral parade at 4 Infantry Brigade headquarters in Masvingo this afternoon. Minister Chadzamira said President Mnangagwa honored Brigadier General Hungwe in recognition of the role he played during and after the liberation struggle. He said funeral arrangements will be announced in due course following consultations with the Hungwe family. In our next story, the Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board has barred 5 tobacco contracting companies from participating in the 2026 marketing season after they failed to secure operating licenses. The move comes as authorities seek to protect farmers and strengthen order in Zimbabwe's multi-billion-dollar tobacco industry. Our correspondent Theseus Shambare reports.
The 2026 tobacco marketing season opens tomorrow, with authorities saying preparations at selling floors across the country are complete. The season comes as regulators step up oversight in the contract farming system that finances the bulk of Zimbabwe's tobacco production.
So on Wednesday, we are going to see 48 contractors that are licensed by the Tobacco Industry and Marketing Board. One of that contractors is doing shisha tobacco. We've got 46 Class A licensed. There are also 5 contractors that have not been licensed by TIMB. That include Inter Africa, Leaf Exchange Africa, Woodsell, Moros Tobacco, and Tobacco Company of Zimbabwe.
The decision follows long-standing complaints from farmers over delayed payments, incomplete inputs, and contract disputes.
Definitely, we are fully geared as TIMB. We are fully prepared. Growers should freely bring their tobacco for sale.
The regulator has also introduced a biometric grower management system to improve accountability. More than 147,000 farmers have already been registered under the system.
So what we are now going to do in terms of enforcement as we start the selling season, TIMB is going to request each and every grower who is going to sell tobacco to have been enrolled first before they can sell tobacco.
Stiffer penalties have also been introduced to curb side marketing and illicit trade of tobacco.
Then there is an aspect of stiffer penalties. I think we need to allude to our board, TIMB Board of Management. It managed to help us to come up with a prescription of stiffer penalties in view of policing illicit trade and side marketing.
Officials say the measures are part of broader efforts to ensure an orderly marketing season while protecting farmers and safeguarding the integrity of Zimbabwe's tobacco industry. Reporting for ZTN Prime in Harare, I am Theseus Shambare.
Don't go away, Newsplus, we'll be right back.
I was raised in a family of 4 siblings. We're very musical. We had so much time to practice in the streets. The neighbors always complained. And I remember standing outside my grandmother's house. I would have a talk show with Bricks as my guest. So I think my career choice was a very natural one. My journey with MultiChoice started at Idols. It was so professional. I was so intimidated, but it turned out to be a very fruitful one. From Idols, Our Perfect Wedding Zimbabwe, Chew On, they've held my hand. I'm a proud member of that MultiChoice family. To ignite Africa's creative industries, to me, is what MultiChoice is doing. And they're bringing great, brilliant minds together to tell our African stories and for us to determine the path that we're going to take for the future. It's priceless.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Motorists have welcomed the government's decision to slash parking fees from $1 to 50 cents, saying the steep charges were hindering movement and affecting business. Government says the move is a major step towards easing the cost of doing business and improving compliance within the sector. More in the following report.
With parking fees now capped at 50 cents per hour under statutory instrument 41 of 2026, motorists say the move will bring relief and encourage more people to come into the CBD to conduct business. However, there are major concerns of traffic congestion within the CBD.
Following the Gazette, as of Tuesday, the fees were yet to be effected. According to the law, when a statutory instrument is gazetted, it takes effect immediately or on a specified date mentioned within the text of the statutory instrument. Motorists say high parking fees were hindering them from driving into town, which affected businesses.
So my parking fees are 50 cents. I'm happy because $1 chirema. At least ndikabhadhara $1 per 2 hours ka zviri nani. Because ndinozosvika mota yangu yakremba netime mari yacho hazikubatana zvinhu zvinoomera mushe. Thank you ndatenda.
They say they had to cut the time they spent in town. They believe the new rates will encourage more people to drive into the CBD and support businesses.
Tinotenda nekureviewa kwaitwa ma-parking fees, fees ese downwards. Namboona hangu schedule yacho. Mamwe acho anga ari ma-licenses ema-businesses. Was the fees were so high. Zvokuti vanhu vanga vachidefaulta because zvazvakaoma. But I think nema-fees are reasonable. Vanhu vanokwanisa comply with the fees and also pay their licenses as well. And then parking fees, maybe challenge each other by change. But otherwise, we are okay. We are very happy we implement those parking fees.
Some cautioned the reduced fees may result in increased volumes of traffic and ultimately congestion in the CBD.
I think it's good in terms of clamping because the $52 was too much. But in terms of the 50 cents, maybe it's going to cause more congestion because more people will be affording it. Because there are some people who are park somewhere else because for 2-3 hours you have to pay $2, $3. Now it's just $1 to $1.50. I don't know. I hope it is with congestion.
Motorists say the move demonstrates the government's commitment to easing the cost of doing business and improving the urban operating environment. Talent Gore, ZTN Prime, Harare.
Zimpaper's CEO William Chikoto says the country's largest integrated media organization is transforming from a print-centric operation to a digital-first AI-enabled news organization. Mr. Chikoto told delegates at the Artificial Intelligence, AI and Journalism Education Summit in Harare that the shift is anchored on the adoption of new technologies to improve journalism efficiency. He emphasized that AI tools are intended to enhance journalists' capabilities rather than replace them. The CEO's remarks highlight Zimpaper's commitment to embracing technological innovation as it navigates the opportunities and challenges of journalism in an AI-driven environment.
Zim Papers is really a model newsroom in Zimbabwe because we've gone through that process of migrating from being print first to digital first and now AI enabled. So we're basically exploring how we can use AI to tell stories, to do research, to do good summaries. So we're happy that at Zim Papers our journalists undergoing training in terms of using AI. We acknowledge that we are not yet there. It's a journey that we are working on. So this was also an opportunity to encourage the journalism educators to really look at their curriculum.
More than 100 medical practitioners across the country are reportedly battling drug and substance abuse-related challenges as they continued to operate under sustained pressure, long working hours and emotionally demanding environments. In response, the government, working with development partners, East London NHS Foundation Trust of the United Kingdom's National Health Service, has come up with solutions to help affected workers. More in the following report.
A quiet crisis is unfolding behind hospital walls, resulting in many practitioners being supervised for alcohol and substance abuse-related challenges. Authorities highlighted a growing concern over substance abuse among doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, and other health professionals.
As a matter of fact, according to the Health Committee of the Medical Dental Practitioners Council, they've got almost 100 practitioners who are being supervised around the country with these alcohol and substance use problems. Here at Engwicheni, we have had to admit several healthcare workers. Almost at every given point in time, there's always some healthcare workers involved.
While many affected practitioners are receiving outpatient care, structured counseling and rehabilitation support, some have required admission to mental health institutions. Bulawayo Provincial Medical Director Dr. Matthew Siamchembu said the province is strengthening referral systems, peer support mechanisms, and structured debriefing sessions, particularly for staff in emergency and critical care units.
So my office, the Provincial Mental Health Officer, runs a program where we provide care to carers. Where we sit down with healthcare workers. Sometimes we identify problems amongst healthcare workers and we approach them.
Director of Global Health at the East London National Health Services Foundation Trust, Dr. Nick Bass, said the mental well-being of health workers has become an international priority, especially in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We think this will go a long way to assisting with the stress that healthcare workers experience across Zimbabwe and hopefully mitigate and offset and prevent the resort to, say, substance abuse, for instance, that you have talked about.
Health leaders say embedding structured mental health and wellness support within Zimbabwe's health sector is now both a moral imperative and a strategic necessity to ensure that those who care for the nation are not left behind. For ZTN Prime, I'm Andile Chuma in Bulawayo.
The Zimbabwe Tourism Authority is clamping down on unregistered operators and shutting them down. The blitz saw a total of 32 establishments being shut down. 3 in Masvingo, 9 in Gweru, 5 in Marondera, 3 in Bulawayo, 1 in Chinhoyi, 4 in Mutare and 7 in Harare. This comes a few weeks after the authority warned non-compliant establishments to put their houses in order. Airbnbs, lodges and hotels are the ones being targeted under this operation. Moving on to our next story, the Alexandra Magistrates Court has postponed to Thursday the bail proceedings of Bellarmine Chatunga Mugabe and his co-accused Tobias Matonodze. Their defense counsel, Sinenhlahla Nguni, said the matter could not proceed due to a technical electricity failure at court and outstanding documents the defense is still awaiting from the prosecution. Mugabe, son of late Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe, and Matonodze were arrested after a 23-year-old gardener was wounded in a shooting at the family's Hyde Park home in Johannesburg on February 19. The two accused face charges of attempted murder, defeating the ends of justice, and illegal possession of a firearm. Do stay with us. Newsplus will be right back.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go!
Wherever you are, whatever your reason, it's on SuperSport all season long. Reconnect and stay connected to DStv Compact and get the best football.
Bulawayo's business community has embraced the Zimbabwe gold currency ZiG as confidence in price and exchange rate stability continues to grow. This follows the unveiling of the 2026 monetary policy statement and the launch of the upgraded Big Five ZiG banknotes by the governor of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe in the city.
Industry leaders say stability in inflation and exchange rates has created a more predictable operating environment, strengthening acceptance of the Zimbabwe gold currency. Unpacking the 2026 monetary policy statement in Bulawayo, Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Governor Dr. John Mushayavanu said annual ZiG inflation has declined sharply from 95.8% in July 2025 to 4.1% in January 2026, the first time in over 3 decades that single-digit inflation has been achieved.
I'm on record for saying you can't regulate confidence. You have to earn it. And this is part of the journey for us to try and earn confidence.
The governor said 21 billion ZiG is in circulation, with the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe committed to aligning money supply growth with real economic activity under strict liquidity controls.
We ensure that at any one time we have enough reserves to cover the ZiG that is circulating in the economy. Because if your ZiG is not backed by anything, it will lose value. And we said earlier on that our ZiG was going to be backed by gold and also going to be backed by foreign currency balances that we have at the Federal Bank in New York.
Foreign currency reserves have risen to 1.2 billion United States dollars, covering local currency reserve money several times over, a buffer the central bank says reinforces confidence in ZiG, with Bulawayo business leaders reporting visible gains.
The positive on the investment side is that Zimbabwe, from what I see, is a good platform now, because I think dividend repatriation last year was somewhere in the order of 350 million. So if you invest in Zimbabwe, people will always ask me, my South African friends, can I get my money out?
Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries Matabeleland Chapter President Stephen Ncube said the industrial sector has embraced ZiG as stability becomes entrenched.
I just want to commend the monetary authorities for bringing macroeconomic stability. I remember our first meeting when we met the Reserve Governor, CZI. It was quite a tough meeting. It was almost maybe a 10-page document, and it was Ghana's place. And the governor stood his grounds, and we walked out of that meeting with our tails lowered.
The monetary policy statement retained key support measures for productive sectors, including the 1 billion ZiG targeted finance facility at 70% currency retention threshold for exporters and a ZiG-denominated term deposit facility to strengthen liquidity management. Bulawayo business leaders say sustained monetary discipline and currency stability are rebuilding confidence, with ZiG gaining traction as a reliable medium of exchange. For ZTN Prime, I'm Andile Chuma in Bulawayo.
The African Regional Intellectual Property Organization, ARIPO, has been working on amending its framework with focus on patent protocols to ensure that they strengthen systems around utility models and trademarks to improve credibility, efficiency, and be in sync with world standards. We hear from the organization's head of formality examination, Charles Pundo.
We have been working on our documents, like our protocols, which are the documents, legal documents we use to do our mandates. So these documents we have for the one called the Harare Protocol, which is the protocol on patents, utility models, and industrial designs. So this document has been improved over years. Just last year, this legal document was amended, was completely overhauled, and the new amended protocol was released on 1st March 2025. So this, over the years, has been happening to ensure that we benchmark with other offices, to ensure that we are at par with other offices around the world.
Stay with us as we take a look at what's happening in the world of sport. The 2026 Castle Lager Premier Soccer League kicks off this Friday with reigning champions Scotland travelling to Kwekwe for a highly anticipated clash with New Boys Hard Rock at Chawanda Stadium on Sunday. Scotland made history last season, winning the league in their debut season, while Hard Rock were among the big spenders during the off-season. The Kwekwe side are coached by former Highlanders and Dynamos coach Kevin Kaindu, with reigning Soccer Star of the Year Washington Navaya among their marquee signings. But before that match day, one action gets underway on Friday with last season's runner-up Moors away to New Boys FC Hunters at Rufaro Stadium. On Saturday, Herentals welcomes Chicken Inn to Rufaro. Ngezi Platinum Stars face off with FC Platinum, and the Baobab Triangle welcomes ZPC Kariba to Gibo, and Dynamos are away to Tel 1 at Ascot in Gweru. Highlanders versus Bulawayo Chiefs at Barber Fields headlines Sunday's action. Elsewhere, Caps are at home to Agama, and Manika Diamonds face off with Simbabora at Gibo. Moving on to our next story, swimmer Danielson Ciprianos is giving back to the community that nurtured him after returning to the Bulawayo Amateur Swimming Association as a coach. The Olympian is now mentoring young talent and championing grassroots sports development, having risen through the same ranks from junior level to the global stage at the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris.
It's an honor. It's an honor to be working with these young kids. I was there once. I've swum in this pool many times. I try to pass on the little bit of knowledge that I've gained, the little bit of experience I've got in my career, and I just want to give it to the children. And even if they don't end up at the Olympics, I just hope they progress and keep moving forward and become the best version of themselves at the end of the day. You learn a lot of things about balancing your priorities, time management, discipline, and making friends. It's a great social sport, even though it's an individual sport. You make good friends along the way, and that's just been the biggest part of it all for me. Just getting to be with them and keep seeing us go forward and trying to be a part of that in our country.
Ciprianos has previously competed at the Olympic Games and the African Games, fulfilling his promise from prodigy to contender.
I felt what it is to go to the Olympics. I came 28 out of 28 people. I came last, and I feel it's not something that gets groomed when you're 1 week before the Olympics, but it starts when you're very young, and investing in that at a young age and giving the kids the confidence, the ability to fall and stand back up, try again, keep going, keep trying. If you lose, you try again. If you win, you try again. And just trying to really drill that into their heads. That's my main goal. And I've been doing clinics in Bulawayo. I've done 2 clinics so far.
That's all we have for tonight's edition of Newsplus. My name is Marissa Marinda, and from me and the crew behind the scenes, we say have a splendid evening.